Songbird, the anticipated big screen blockbuster movie of 2021, produced by none other than Michael Bay. Yes, Michael Bay, the director well known for the Transformer movies, for big budget screen movies, lots of action. He's a producer, and they make this movie about COVID-19. Let me get right into it. Immune to the COVID virus, a courier races against time to save the woman he loves from a quarantine camp in Los Angeles during COVID. So let's get right into this movie, okay? Because it's going to be a fun review. I finally saw this movie last night, and let me get right into it. Where to begin? So, what we have here is we have a huge cast of characters that I'll get into in a minute. But essentially, when COVID-19 first came out, before we know where it was going, a couple movie guys thought, well, let's make a scary movie based on what's currently happening, and let's magnify the problem times 100. So like people are dropping dead with COVID, there's camps set up. Let's make a really scary pandemic movie about the current pandemic that's stressing out the entire world right now. Brilliant idea, right? Not really. Anyways, so they come up with this idea, and I'll get into it too later in my review, about how I think this was put together. Actually, you know what? Let's do it right now. So let's put it this way. In high school, I often got assignments well in advance. We'll say like a 5,000 word essay or something along those terms. And me being me in high school, I didn't do it on Thursday. I didn't do it on Friday. And of course, it's due Monday morning. Do I do it on Saturday? No. What I do is I wait till 10 o'clock at night when I'm exhausted on a Sunday night, and I just throw something together. And then I pan it in on a Monday, and by Tuesday I get it back with a horrible mark, usually like an F, essentially. Like this is a dog's breakfast. So the reason I bring this up right now is this how the script was done for this movie. Essentially, when COVID first came out, these guys wrote a script on a Sunday night at 10 o'clock at night. Nobody reviewed it. Nobody edited it. They went to the movie studios, and this amazes me, and said, I want $400 million to make this. Look at my script. And somehow the movie company went, yeah, why not? Sure. It's a horrible script, but you know what? Let's just blow millions and do it because I'm sure people love it. And we're gonna stream it because due to COVID, theaters are shut down. So we'll just stream it. Okay? People probably buy it, right? We'll put out a fancy trailer. People will be hooked on this movie. Well, that's exactly what happened, folks. They put together a script. I've never seen a movie. I should say it's not the worst movie I've seen, but I've never seen a movie where you felt the script was written in real time, as well as put together the night before. And I want to change the title of this movie to Plot Holes. That's what it should be called. Not Songbird, but Plot Holes. Because I'm going to get into that in a minute. There are so many plot holes here. It is amazing. Okay, so before Songbird came out, I did see the trailer. And it looked kind of interesting at the time. And then I saw the reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, and it was brutal. And I thought, well, maybe it's just the critics. Then I waited a little longer, and you see the fans' reviews. Because often with Rotten Tomatoes, you may love a movie. Like, for example, Rambo. Rambo 4 in 2008 with Stallone. I love that movie. The critics panned it. But all the fans, including myself, liked it. So the scores are, Rotten Tomatoes here, fans are up here. Well, with this particular movie, they were down here, and the fans were down here too. So there really is nothing good to go. But you know what? I essentially thought, I want to go in this movie with an open mind. I'm not going to dissect anything as much. I want to just see if I can be absorbed in the movie and lost in the movie with a great story, riveting story. Within the first few minutes of this movie, I couldn't get into it because there were so many plot holes where I was going, this is ridiculous. Over and over and over again. Plot holes from the beginning, opening credits, right to the end. And there's no break in between. It's one plot hole to the next. And I'm going to get into it. Let's get into the cast, because we've got some talented actors here and actresses. The main hero, I guess, is Nico Price, portrayed by KJ Apa. Who's KJ Apa? Well, he's the main star of the hit TV show Riverdale. So we have him. We also have Sofia Carson playing Sarah Garcia. That's his love interest. We have Alexandra Daddario playing the actress of May, who's this character you feel for, but she's also a call girl too, which a whole other subplot. Demi Moore, where's she been all these years? She portrays Piper Griffin, a very wealthy wife and mother of a young girl, and her husband is played by a really good actor, Bradley Whitford, who plays this greasy husband, William Griffin. Again, here's the main character that I want to focus on, is doing a horrible job. Now, Peter Stormare is an actor, and you've seen him in almost every Michael Bay film there is. You know, Bad Boys, or I think it was Bad Boys too. And he's always playing larger than life characters, and sometimes that works. It's interesting. You get lost and you go, "Wow, this guy's kind of cool." Not in this movie. As a matter of fact, every time he appears or talks, it's nails on a chalkboard. Like literally, nails on a chalkboard. His acting is horrible. His character is horrible. Okay? I'm going to come back to him in a minute. Then we have Paul Walter Hauser, who I love as an actor. He played one of the characters in Cobra Kai. He's been in a few other really good movies here and there. He's a brilliant kind of comedian type actor. And I mean, he's good at what he does. He plays an Afghanistan war veteran who's confined to a wheelchair, who, as he says, and this could have been an interesting backstory, he's been in lockdown before COVID even came because of the horrors and traumas with his PTSD from Afghanistan. That's pretty much the only interesting character of sorts in this entire movie. And then we've got one of my favorite actors from The Office, Craig Robinson as Lester. I mean, he plays a supporting role here. He does what he can. I'll give him credit where credit due. He played a really good character in The Warehouse in The Office, one of my favorite comedy shows of all time. And then we just have, more and more characters. I don't need to go into it too much. Let's get into KJ Apa, who plays Nico Price. So he essentially, in this COVID world, and I'm going to be touching on some plot holes here in a second. So Los Angeles, and I have to emphasize this first. I just did a Google search. In 2019, the population of Los Angeles, and I need you to listen to this, was 3.967 million people. So just think about that number for just a second. Let you digest that. Okay, so Los Angeles is completely barren and empty. Everyone's in their places. Highways, there's no cars on the road. There's no trucks on the road. There's no delivery trucks, which I'm going to get into a plot hole in a second, on the road. All there is a handful, and I say a handful across the entire city of Los Angeles, couriers that have a special immunity to COVID, which means they can't get COVID for whatever reason. Now, in the real world, of course, we don't know that's accurate, but I guess when they did this movie, we didn't have all the facts about COVID, so they assumed we'd have a bunch of people immune to COVID. And as of today in 2021, I don't believe that's accurate. But anyways, that aside, the character of Nico Price, portrayed by KJ Apa, is immune, so he's a bike courier. And he's having a grand old time. He's racing from one side to LA to the next, doesn't even really break a sweat. And essentially, he stops in the middle of a highway to play some basketball. Because again, it's almost like I Am Legend. There's just like nobody on the streets. And his boss is Craig Robinson, Lester. He's in charge of all the couriers. And because everything's shut down, their job is to get things to people all over Los Angeles. Again, did I mention there's 3 million people in Los Angeles? Yes, I think I did. And there's a handful, maybe 12 couriers that we see in this movie that are on mountain bikes. Not sure why they couldn't get cars. Since nobody can use their vehicles in all Los Angeles, you don't think you could give these couriers cars? You give them bikes? Whatever. And they survive basically on tips, and they're getting screwed around left, right, and center. I'm pretty sure if we're in that state of affairs, here's a plot hole, I don't think I'd be jerking over one of the only 12 couriers in the entire city of Los Angeles. I'd be giving him a $100 tip just so he would come back. And in one scene, guy's like, I'm not giving you a tip. I'm thinking, well, good luck getting your groceries, bud. It's just so stupid. So this brings me to the plot holes. First of all, you got the whole city of Los Angeles on lockdown. You got 12 bike couriers, and everybody's able to eat. They're well groomed. Everybody has their lights on in their apartments. Okay, so I'm going to get to the character of Emmett Harlan, played by Peter Stormare again. This guy is in charge of the entire sanitation program for all, and I emphasize all of Los Angeles. So his job is, if somebody dies of COVID in their home, or they contract COVID, a team of masked people go in and they take that subject out. Or in one scene where an elderly lady, and it breaks your heart, she dies of COVID, which is quite serious, dies, bag and tag her. Yeah, I'm not kidding you. That's the line in the movie. That's really cool. Considering how many people have lost loved ones during this COVID pandemic, that's a great line to throw in a movie. Who thinks of this stuff? Anyways, he plays this greasy, slimy villain. Don't ask me why. So, Cap, imagine this. He's the director in charge of all sanitation for LA. Do you think he'd be out in the middle of the night with these teams going around? Oh, yeah, he does. He doesn't sleep. And he lives in an old 1970s motorhome. Another plot hole, but it leads into other things. So they do these daily sensor checks. Everyone in Los Angeles has to do them. And basically you'll say yay or nay if you have the virus. If you do, a whole team is dispatched your house, they remove you, and they put you in this quarantine camp. So it leads me to two plot holes here. Number one is 3 point whatever million people. Who's monitoring this? Like, do you imagine the resources you would need for daily monitors? You would need 1 trillion employees. Okay? So the character Peter Stormare, again, he's one of the people that's immune. So that's why he's able to walk around Los Angeles all smug in a suit. He doesn't need a mask. And he carries a little tiny, very thin switchblade. So if he doesn't like you, he quickly pulls out the side of his leg. You see the knife, a close-up of the knife come out, and he stabs you to death. And he makes a joke and laughs at you and leaves. Okay? Like, have we lost all government and police resources during this COVID pandemic that allows this guy to walk around like the Gestapo? I don't know. Anywho, so again, who's monitoring these things? And if you test positive, within minutes, you got this sanitation team there with Peter Stormare, because apparently he can be everywhere at once. He must have clones of himself. They didn't discuss that. In a population of 3 million, 24/7, all times of the day and all times of the night. Yeah, he doesn't need to sleep. And yeah, he essentially goes there and he makes jokes. Oh, too bad you're going to die. Ha, ha, ha. And it's just like such bad taste, which brings me to this whole premise of the movie. It's done in such bad taste for entertainment value. You're taking the current pandemic where innocent people, look at the population in Italy that died, and making it a laugh fest. Who accepted this movie? Like, I blame the studios as much as I blame the director for this movie. So again, Emmett's in charge. He can be everywhere at once, which leads to other plot holes. So our character Nico wants to save his girlfriend, who's portrayed by Sarah Garcia, Sofia Carson. She's in an apartment with an elderly, I think it's her grandmother, and she contracts the coronavirus. So now we see that she fails the test, and right away we have like police units with masks on outside their apartment door. I want to emphasize something because it gets really good here. So she's in a 2-bedroom apartment. Just imagine that, but we'll be generous. We'll say 1,000 square feet. I don't know how many bathrooms. We'll assume it's 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, living room, kitchen, whatever. So they're outside her door. She's got nowhere to go. And Nico's racing against trying and get a fraudulent bracelet. Because what if you're immune, you carry these yellow bracelets around your wrist. He's racing against time. Meanwhile, the police are there instantaneously. But now it takes hours for the sanitation crew to come. But they do come. Now, Grandma's passed away at this point. So they bust into the apartment. I'm going to say there's the Emmett Harlan, that Peter Stormare guy, is there. And there's at least 2 people, maybe a few. And the whole place is surrounded outside. They bust in. She's able to sneak through the apartment and hide behind these drapey beads. I guess that substitute for a closet door. And they don't see her. And this is where it gets good. So all these people are in this tiny apartment looking for her. And she's able to sneak out, see one guy, and knock him unconscious. He falls to the ground. I guess nobody hears it. And she's able to take his entire biohazard suit off. Yeah, this is where it gets good. She is able to put it on, so she's now one of them. She doesn't hide his body. He's still in one of the, clear as day on the floor, in one of the bedrooms of a 2-bedroom apartment. And she's able to sneak past everybody, get the heck out of the apartment building. And then finally, Peter Stormare walks in the bedroom and goes, "What?" and sees this guy laying on the ground. Yeah, I kid you not. That's how bad this is. She then gets all the way out, and then she runs right into the police, and she gets captured. And this Peter Stormare, he must be like the Flash, because all of a sudden he's right beside her. I'm thinking, you're in your 60s, your late 50s. How the heck did you get down there so quick? Whatever, logic aside. Now Nico's got to race against time to catch him. There's also another scene in this movie where, as he's trying to get one of the fraudulent yellow bracelets, Nico, to save his girlfriend, he gets double-crossed by one of the characters, who then has Harlan's direct number. And she calls Harlan, say, look, this guy's trying to get a band. So he goes to an abandoned warehouse, Nico. And Harlan, again, the busiest guy on the planet, he's in charge of all the sanitation for LA. Sorry, I'm not trying to laugh here. He's the one that's waiting for him there. And he tricks him and says, just give me her information for this band. I'll give you one. And AJ Capt was kind of going, I don't know about that. It looks kind of fishy. And then all of a sudden, you see the switchblade come out, the trademark weapon of Harlan. And he stabs AJ Kappa. Don't worry, he doesn't die. AJ Kappa's the main hero here. But he stabs him. Like you didn't see that coming. Again, you wonder, well, how does this happen? It is plot hole after plot hole after plot hole. And it's a complete mess. The side stories don't help. It is just complete garbage. This movie has taken a very serious subject and Hollywoodized it, for a big budget score. It's insulting and disgraceful. I will say that right now. This is by far one of the worst movies of all time. It is hot garbage. I can't think of any pros. I honestly can't. There's nothing. This movie goes from plot hole to plot hole to plot hole to plot hole. The whole time you're wondering, how does 3 million people confined to their places get groceries when there's only 12 couriers in the entire city? Does that make sense to you? Also, there's no food trucks on the road. Who's delivering the groceries? The stores are closed, so where's the food coming from? This movie was like my homework assignment from grade 10. It was put together in a frantic hurry while they were tired. And what amazes me is they took this package, I assume they at least stapled it, and took it to a major movie studio and says, hey, invest all of your millions of dollars into this lovely script. I'm going to say somebody forgot to read the script. I'm going to say that right now. Somehow this movie was made and then it was put on the screen and the actual movie company went, oh my God, can we take our logo off this movie? It is so bad. It is so bad. I don't know. If you want to see this movie, go and see it. If you like it, I don't know, maybe have some alcohol while you're watching this movie, a lot of it. If you like this movie, leave some comments below. But I got to tell you, it's the one time where I agree 100% with Rotten Tomatoes. And I think the fans did too. This movie is hot garbage. It's so bad. And I'm also not only angry, a lot of times I blame it on the director, screenwriter. I blame it on everybody. I blame it on the director, the screenwriter. I wouldn't even call him a screenwriter. He's like probably a kid in kindergarten. The movie company. But I blame every actor in here. You saw this script, and it's disgraceful, and it's truly insulting to the loved ones that have lost people from COVID-19. Why you would agree to star in this mess is beyond me. Obviously, you're desperate for money. Demi Moore, you should pretend you weren't in this movie. Like, I'm sorry, I liked you in the 80s, but after this, as a matter of fact, pretty much every actor in this movie I've really lost a lot of respect for starring in this hot garbage. Like, you should have seen it. Your agent should have seen it, said run for the hills. I don't know what you were thinking to accept this. Again, it's one of those movies where he takes a serious subject and you are just disgraceful towards it, really. And I mean, how many people are stressed out about COVID, even today? And you're going to throw this on the screen and stress people out even more with what could happen with COVID? First of all, folks, I'm going to tell you right now, COVID could get worse, it could get better, whatever. But I can assure you what happens in this movie isn't going to happen in the world. Nobody's that stupid to let this happen. Plus, if you only had 12 people delivering groceries, you're probably not going to get any groceries at all. It's so bad, folks. Stay away from this movie. Boycott it. Don't watch it. It's downright horrible. Anyways, I got nothing else to say. Songbird. Oh, I should say, I have no idea why the movie's called Songbird. Nobody's ever explained that. There's a girl that sings in it. Maybe that's her song. I don't know. To this day, I don't know why it's called Songbird. I think the title should be changed to Plot Hole, and More Plot Holes. That should be the name of this just horrible, horrible, horrible movie. So what do I give Songbird on a scale of 1 to 10? This is my first review where I get to do this. I give it a -2. Yeah. It's not a 0. It's even worse than that. It's a -2 out of 10. Avoid this movie at all costs. Treat it like it's the plague and run away. Anyways, if you like this review, see the movie at your own peril. Leave some